So now that Frida's going to be a witch, how about the other two? Are they going to get an upgrade? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Hilda, Season 2, Episode 4. And yeah, last time we got to really know about all the stuff with the witches and learn more about Kaisa and just really get to see Frida step into her own. It was honestly a great episode. One of the best in the series for sure. So, how do you follow that up? Like, where do you go from there? As usual, I don't really know anything going forward. This just isn't a series that has been really spoiled for me at all. So I have no idea what we're going to get here. I guess there's no other real option but to just, get this going and figure it out. Um, I know, not too much to talk about going into this. Pretty short pre thoughts, but I have nothing else to say. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. David fucking died. Twice. I don't even know what to think of this episode. Because it like caught me so off guard with the Vikings in the first place. It's like, what? And then you have the Vikings wielding lightsabers, or well, lightsaber equivalents of different old-fashioned weapons. And on top of that, they murder each other every night. And the guy who owned the medallion that they're fighting over, Sigurd, this swamp man guy, brings them back to life with this magic potion just for them to do it all over again. And David gets involved because he wants to no longer be afraid of everything. But the medallion ends up taking away all his fear, which is, not good. And then he fucking dies. He gets his head fucking cut off. Like, this is like, what is he, like, 10? 12 maybe at most? And we just saw him get violently murdered. Like, he didn't just die. He got his head cut off by another person. That is violent murder. I just watched a child get violently murdered on a cartoon. A cartoon that, mind you, is not that dark. It's fairly for all ages. I've seen some dark shows, some dark cartoons where they delve into topics like this. But Hilda's not that dark. Like, it covers some, like, supernatural stuff and everything, but what the fuck? I can't even really comprehend this that well. Because it's like, he's a child. It's like, they literally, like, not just animated the fact that a child was violently murdered, but then, because they put him back wrong, he had to get violently murdered again just to be put back right. And it's like, what the fuck? What? I don't know what to do with my hands right now. I'm just... How am I supposed to react to this? Like, during the reaction, I was kind of just in shock, and I didn't know what to do or say. It's just like, that's why I didn't like have this huge reaction during the reaction. But it's like it's like it clicked a lot more for me afterwards, and it's I don't know. I don't know. Um, in terms of entertainment value, honestly, I would say this is the least entertaining episode of the season so far. If I'm being completely honest, this kind of reminds me of that one Gravity Falls episode with the Manitars, which is one of the few episodes of Gravity Falls that I actively dislike. Like it's trying to teach a message about toxic masculinity and about what it really takes to be a man, and how it's not like the stereotypical shit you see. But the episode is so unenjoyable to watch, and it even though it's not even though it's teaching a message against toxic masculinity, you still have to see it for so long, and I just don't like watching it. It just I actively dislike it. This episode reminds me of that, but it's not as bad in terms of that. It's not like it's not as blatant about touching on toxic masculinity, though that obviously is an aspect of this. Because David's always been this kind of character who's always been, well, cowardly. He's not brave. He's not the most adventurous. He hangs out with Hilda and Frida because, they're friends. They like each other and they want to hang out together. But while he does so, he is always the one who's kind of, having trouble with it because he is so scared. I understand his desire to try and become braver in this episode, like, especially because he doesn't want to hold back his friends. There's definitely a selflessness to that I really like from David. And David is definitely a very caring, selfless individual. So that doesn't come out of nowhere. It's not like a big surprise for him to be selfless and want to become braver for that kind of reason. But at the same time, it's like the entire Viking thing, it's like maybe it's just not my vibe. Maybe Vikings and whatever you want to call the Manitars, besides just, Minotaurs and everything, warriors, I guess. Maybe that just kind of thing isn't my vibe. I'm just not into that kind of hyper masculine warrior type uh, group, for lack of a better term I can think of at the moment. That's not my kind of thing to see in mostly anything. I think it's part of the reason I'm not into like God of War, despite liking like Greek mythology. I think the entire like, let's be honest, kind of hyper masculine focus of God of War it just turns me off, honestly. I think a lot of that kind of stuff is just not my vibe, personally. And that's fine. And it's fine for anyone who this does appeal to. For anyone who is big into Viking culture and that kind of media. Or like strong, buff warriors of any variety. If you're into that, that's great. And you're fully entitled to enjoy that as much as you want. But just acknowledge and accept that not everyone's going to be. Not everyone's going to get it. Not everyone's going to understand the appeal of it. I'm one of those people, I guess. It just doesn't click with me. It comes across as just unenjoyable. A little bit gross, honestly. And just something I just can't click with. It just doesn't click with me as being entertaining. Again, this is not as bad as the Manitar episode. That episode, again, I actively dislike, and it's one of the very few episodes. In fact, I think there's only two episodes of Gravity Falls I actively dislike. That one and Boss Mabel. Boss Mabel, in my opinion, is Mabel at her worst. And it's just unenjoyable to watch completely on every level. It's not even funny. It's like one of the few Gravity Falls episodes that's just not funny. So it's like, yeah, but that's not really the issue. Talking about this episode, it's not, like I said, it's a lot better. And the pure absurdity of the Vikings coming out of nowhere and then suddenly having lightsaber weapons, like the pure absurdity of it, and just the shock I was in and confusion, that kind of like adds a certain level of entertainment. But I don't think this is an episode I would really want to watch again, because without that shock factor, without it being like so surprising and unreal to see, a lot of this is just, David trying to kind of fit into this kind of gross hypermasculine culture because he thinks that that's more manly and brave than he could ever be. And that's just, it just rubs me the wrong way. Again, I understand the message is trying to speak out against that kind of thing, trying to show that that kind of thinking is just not good. But at the same time, it's just ewy to me. I guess you could say, to even watch, even if the message behind it is speaking out against it. And again, just it's like this series like touches on some topics here and there, but just the violent deaths, it's like Jesus. Like obviously they didn't show blood and everything. It's like that would have been too much, but even just having like those glowing I guess cauterized wounds, it's like you just you can't ignore the fact that they're being violently murdered. Like that's still happening. It's just, and again, a child. Like, let me check something here. Because I want to know for sure. Hilda, David, age. I assume they're all around the same age, but. Between 10 and 11 years old is what I'm seeing here. Oh, wait, no, hold on. According to this, apparently it is confirmed they're around 13. I'm seeing like some contradictory stuff. So let's just say somewhere between 10 and 13. They're still fairly fucking young. And again, the point here is that this child, he is still a child, got beheaded twice. He died. He actively, literally died. They even literally say he died. Like, yeah, he was brought back to life, and it's a very good thing that Deus Ex Machina pretty much was introduced kind of out of nowhere in the last bit of this episode. But I mean, hey, Deus Ex Machina. But at the same time, it's like I feel like they almost had to do that, because it's like I feel like if they didn't have a way to revive the Vikings and just had the Vikings stay dead, that would I feel like it wouldn't have been able to get past the censors and stuff. Like this wasn't on TV, but still, like it wouldn't have been able to be marketed as like a kids show. Even on streaming. And they definitely wouldn't have gotten away with it with beheading David. Of course, they definitely wouldn't have done that if they didn't have a way to bring him back. They wouldn't kill David just for good. So that wouldn't have even happened if they didn't have a way to bring him back. But still, I don't even think they would have gone away with just the Vikings dying. So I understand, like, bringing in this Deus Ex Machina, this life restoring potion. It makes sense from just a production standpoint. But the fact that, again, we had to see like a 10 to 13-year-old kid be violently murdered like that, it's just to a degree that it's just like, I'm uncomfortable, you know? Um, the shock factor was definitely one of the biggest aspects of this episode and one of the biggest ways that it works. If not for that shock factor, I don't think this episode would work. And that's why I'm saying I don't think I could really watch this one again. At least not very often. Because it's one of those episodes that it's like, it relies on that shock factor. The only time I would probably be able to react or to watch it again would be with a reaction to see someone else's shock at all of this. It's just, this episode is just so out of pocket. It's so insane compared to everything else we've even had this season. We've had some pretty wild stuff this season so far. But it's like that just went like from 0 to 100 in a snap. Like, what the fuck? Like, the last episode, we have this fun, magical, enchanting journey into witches and witch culture and library culture. And then this episode, we fucking kill a kid. It's like, what is that tone shift? I'm sorry that I keep harping on this, but they killed a kid. Like, what the fuck? I... Tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode and if it's like affecting you as wildly as it's affecting me, I guess. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any more input or want to like ask me about something I might have missed talking about, because that's very probable here, please feel free to leave that in the comments below. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.